Story 1. The Inverted Lockdown. As a student at Jefferson High, I'd experienced routine lockdown drills, precautions against an external threat. Little did I know that the day a chilling specter would haunt our halls, the lockdown protocol would take a nightmarish turn. It began as a typical Tuesday morning. The bell rang, and students flooded the hallways, unaware of the ominous events that would soon unfold. As I settled into my first period class, an unsettling announcement crackled through the intercom. An unidentified threat was on the premises. The principal's words carried an urgency that sent shivers down our spines. The familiar drill routine commenced, but something felt amiss. Whispers spread like wildfire. A phantom presence lurked within the school's confines. Panic seeped into the air as teachers ushered us into classrooms, locking doors and drawing curtains. The unsettling reality was that the threat wasn't outside but within, haunting the very corridors we considered safe. The intercom crackled again, this time with an unnerving revelation. The intruder was already inside, wandering the halls like a malevolent spirit. Fear gripped us as we realized the lockdown had inverted. The school had become a prison, and the malevolent force roamed freely within its walls. As the minutes ticked by, an unsettling silence settled over the locked classrooms. We huddled in the darkness, our breaths echoing the palpable fear that permeated the air. The intercom remained silent, leaving us to wonder if the school's guardians were aware of the inverted lockdown, or if they, too, had fallen victim to the spectral presence. Outside our secure enclave, an otherworldly hush cloaked the hallways. The usual sounds of bustling students and distant chatter were replaced by an eerie stillness. It was as if the school itself held its breath, anticipating the next move of the malevolent force that had infiltrated its sacred spaces. I glanced at my classmates, their faces a tableau of fear and confusion. Our teacher, usually a paragon of composure, betrayed a subtle tremor in her voice as she tried to reassure us. The inverted lockdown had thrust us into a realm of uncertainty, where the rules of safety were rewritten by an unseen antagonist. Minutes turned to agonizing hours. The sense of entrapment within our once familiar classrooms became unbearable. Whispers of the malevolent force's whereabouts circulated among us, each tale more unnerving than the last. Some claimed to have heard phantom footsteps, while others swore they glimpsed a shadowy figure passing their classroom door. In the absence of guidance, a whispered consensus emerged, an attempt to lock down the intruder, to turn the tables on the unseen menace. The plan circulated quietly, an unspoken agreement among the terrified students. When the next intercom announcement crackled to life, it was met with collective determination. The principal's voice, fraught with tension, relayed an update. The malevolent force had been spotted in the East Wing. A surge of adrenaline fueled our resolve as we silently moved through the darkened corridors, locking doors behind us. The inverted lockdown had become a twisted game of cat and mouse. With the school's inhabitants now the hunters, the East Wing loomed ahead, its silent halls concealing the spectral intruder. With each cautious step, our makeshift brigade edged closer to the epicenter of the malevolence that had disrupted the sanctity of our learning environment. As we approached the designated area, an otherworldly chill hung in the air. The intercom crackled once more, the principal's voice trembling with a mixture of fear and urgency. "Lock it in," he urged, unknowingly echoing the unspoken pact that had formed among the students. A phantom presence, unseen yet deeply felt, seemed to stir within the East Wing. The inverted lockdown had become a harrowing dance, a struggle for control over the malevolent force that now wandered among us. We locked doors, sealed windows, and barricaded entrances, turning the tables on the unseen adversary. The intercom fell silent, leaving us in a cocoon of anticipation. The halls, once echoing with the malevolent force's footsteps, became a labyrinth of uncertainty. In our collective effort to lock it in, we had inadvertently become the architects of our own inverted lockdown, wrestling with a spectral presence that defied explanation. The minutes stretched into an agonizing eternity. The principal's voice returned, a mixture of relief and disbelief coloring his words. The malevolent force had been confined within the East Wing, an entity locked in by the very students it had sought to haunt. As we cautiously emerged from our hiding places, a surreal sense of triumph mingled with the lingering fear. The inverted lockdown had reached its resolution, leaving us to grapple with the aftermath of a nightmarish encounter that defied the boundaries of the ordinary. In the days that followed, the school underwent a cleansing ritual of sorts, an exorcism to expel the residual malevolence that clung to its walls. The inverted lockdown became a cautionary tale, a whispered legend passed down among students who had unwittingly become protagonists in a spectral drama. Jefferson High, once a bastion of education, bore the scars of the inverted lockdown, a testament to the fragility of safety within the hallowed halls of learning. The malevolent force, now confined to the echoes of our collective memory, served as a chilling reminder that the boundaries between the known and the unseen were as thin as the walls that contained them. Story 2: Whispers in the Halls. The chill of a typical Tuesday morning vanished when the intercom crackled to life, the principal's voice laced with urgency. A mysterious presence loomed outside, an entity with unknown intentions that had prompted an immediate lockdown. The routine day at Roosevelt High had transformed into a haunting ordeal. As the classroom door clicked shut, the familiar routine of a lockdown drill took on an unsettling edge. The blinds were drawn, lights turned off, and silence descended like a shroud. The air within our secure enclave seemed to thicken, and the disquieting reality sank in. We were locked in with the specter that prowled outside. Whispers fluttered among us like trapped moths. Rumors of the mysterious presence took on a life of their own, an otherworldly force that sought entry into our sanctuary. I stole a glance at my classmates. Their faces reflected a spectrum of fear, curiosity, and disbelief. The lockdown was no longer a mere drill. It was a confrontation with the unknown. The intercom remained silent, leaving us to navigate the surreal quietude that enveloped our once bustling school. The usual sounds of shuffling papers and distant footsteps were replaced by an eerie stillness, broken only by the hushed murmurs of those seeking solace in the darkened corners. As minutes stretched into an agonizing eternity, a distant murmur whispered through the hallways. The sound, like the sigh of a ghost, sent shivers down our spines. The mysterious presence had drawn closer, its intentions unclear but palpable in the stifling air. I strained to catch the distant echoes, hoping they were nothing more than figments of a collective imagination run wild. The intercom crackled to life, the principal's voice a taut string of instructions. The entity outside was attempting entry, its spectral fingers probing the edges of our fortified sanctuary. Panic swirled within the confines of the dimly lit room as we realized the lockdown wasn't just precautionary. It was a desperate defense against an unknown malevolence. The whispers outside the classroom intensified, a disconcerting symphony that clawed at the edges of our courage. Desperation painted the faces of my classmates as we clung to the illusion of safety provided by the locked door and drawn blinds. The intercom, our only link to the outside world, relayed updates with a tense urgency. The principal's voice wavered as he announced the entity's relentless advance. It seemed to move with an ethereal grace, bypassing every obstacle in its quest for entry. The whispered murmurs morphed into a haunting chorus, a spectral invitation that mingled with the uneasy silence within our sanctuary. As the entity reached our floor, a disquieting hush fell over our classroom. The air seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, and our breaths echoed the collective fear that bound us together. We huddled in the corners, the darkness amplifying our vulnerability as the principal's voice relayed the entity's proximity, the thin barrier of the door, the only defense against an imminent intrusion. Suddenly, the whispered murmurs ceased. A profound silence settled over the hallway, the absence of sound leaving an eerie void in its wake. The principal's voice, a tremor in the quiet, conveyed the unsettling news. The entity had paused, its intentions unclear but fraught with an ominous tension. The lockdown had become a precarious standstill between the living and the spectral. Within the dimly lit classroom, the seconds ticked by like hesitant heartbeats. The entity's presence lingered outside, a phantom force that seemed to regard us with an unseen gaze. The intercom remained silent, leaving us in a surreal limbo where time itself seemed to unravel. Just as the tension reached a crescendo, the principal's voice returned, a strained plea in its tone. The entity outside, having tested the boundaries of our defenses, began to recede. The whispers that had haunted our sanctum retreated like a departing storm, leaving behind an air of unease. The intercom announced the end of the lockdown, but the relief that should have accompanied the proclamation remained elusive. As the door creaked open, revealing the now ordinary hallway, we emerged into a world forever changed by the encounter with the mysterious presence. In the aftermath, rumors circulated like spectral echoes. The entity, though thwarted in its attempt to breach our sanctuary, had left an indelible mark on Roosevelt High. The whispers in the halls became a haunting legacy, a reminder that the boundaries between the known and the unknown were as fragile as the flickering lights that illuminated our once familiar corridors. The school, now a repository of shared fear, bore witness to an event that transcended the mundane. The mysterious presence, though vanquished, lingered in the shadows of our collective memory,